Is a secret internal report on the residency status of all senators key to the Mike Duffy trial? CTV News legal analyst Boris Bytensky is here to weigh in and update us on the trial as it enters its 17th day. And so, Boris, want to get to the Senate blocking the release of this audit. What does that tell you?
Well, I think they're just following protocol right now. So the Senate lawyers have claimed parliamentary privilege with respect to an internal document that was prepared for Parliament's own use or the Senate's own use. And frankly, there's nothing uncommon, not too much should be read into this, other than the Senate wants to keep private Senate business private.
Could it affect Mike Duffy's trial, though? Is it significant with regards to him?
I think this is a subject that's going to be of great interest to the public. I think we all want to know what's in the report, whether other senators are making improper claims or what they're saying about their own residents. But to Mike Duffy, I don't think it's a matter that's going to make much difference in his trial. I think Mr. Duffy and his lawyer have done a very good job to this point in the trial dealing with the housing expense aspects, the charges he faces about the housing. And frankly, the only issue that the internal report could help him on would be with that one. It might show that other senators also didn't understand the rules very well. I think Mr. Duffy is way ahead on that part of the trial. He's doing well. I don't think having that additional information is going to help him much more. He's in good shape on those charges.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's been a massive spotlight on the Senate rules or the lack thereof.
That's right.
And Mr. Duffy's lawyer, Mr. Bain, has really gone hard on that. And I guess day number 6 coming up for Nicole Proulx, who's the former Senate Director of Finance. Want to talk about Mr. Bain's approach, because he seems to be asking Ms. Proulx the same questions in different ways over and over again.
Right. And Mr. Bain's approach, I think, has been very effective to assist him on the defense of the charges relating to the housing issues. I don't think that approach has been all that helpful with respect to the Donahue charges, because for the viewers will recall that Mr. Duffy faces a series of different allegations. Some of them relate to the alleged false claims about his residence, and I think with those he's doing well. But there are a number of charges that relate to about $65,000 of expenses that he claimed that the Crown says were funneled through Mr. Donahue's former friends' companies. And I think on those charges, he's not doing very well. I think the Crown's doing very well. I think the Crown's way ahead, and Mr. Duffy has some real jeopardy. So the tactics with Ms. Proulx and going through in great detail has helped him in part of his defense, but I think it has done very little to help him in another part of his defense, and he's got an uphill battle there.
Yeah, and Mr. Donahue is expected to testify soon.
Mr. Donahue is expected to testify soon. He's been facing some personal illness issues and may have testified earlier if it wasn't for that. Everyone's waiting to see what Mr. Donahue has to say. He's going to be a key witness at this trial. But I think at this point, there's been enough evidence given from others relating the so-called Donahue expenses that I'm not sure that there's going to be much that Mr. Donahue can say that's going to change where this is going. I personally see that those charges have been made out very effectively to this point in the case by the Crown through the other witnesses that have already testified. And whatever Mr. Donahue says is probably going to only make things a little bit more challenging for Mr. Duffy, but realistically, there's a lot already there.
How much time do you think we're looking at here?
Want to come back next year and keep talking about this? This case is it's taking a very slow pace, perhaps not to the surprise of some. I said about 3 weeks ago on this program that I thought 41 days was a pretty light estimate.
You did say that, yes.
I don't expect that this case is going to wrap up in June, which is the presently scheduled time.
There's meant to be a break and then resume, right?
That's correct. Yeah. And we currently have time scheduled through June, or through most of June. And Mr. Bain, Mr. Duffy's lawyer, has already said that he thinks that we're going to need 6 more weeks, and I'm not really surprised by that. I think this case is going to drag into the fall. It's going to overlap to some extent with our election campaigns, and we'll see what happens. But this case is not going to be over anytime soon.
My goodness, overlap into the election campaigns.
Yeah, imagine that.
Interesting times, Boris Bytensky. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.